getting that commitment with each other creates so much more strength and resiliency, right? It's no longer like, oh, I'm just feeling tired this morning, I'm not gonna get up. It's like, man, I made a commitment. What does my word actually mean?
It is literally a version of choosing your own suffering. It's painful to get in the gym and to hit new personal records, to just work out in general, especially if you're working out in the intensity that we're working at it. So to be able to do that and to be consistent with it, it's very hard on your own, but to have another brother next to me to be able to keep me accountable has been such a massive difference.
I feel like we can only go so far by ourselves. It's necessary in the journey to go inward and to know thyself really deeply. But the accelerated path is through relationship. It's through that reflection and that honesty and that joy and expansion that can come from it, and the deep sorrow that can come from it, right? When paths are going opposite ways.
When you love somebody else, you're opening yourself up. You're not only opening yourself up to all the love, but you're opening yourself up to potentially be hurt. Life in general, anything could happen. We might not be here tomorrow, you know? So we have to live this life in a way that's not fearful. So much of my life, I just felt like I wasn't ready, so I'd run away from different experiences of love, which is why I also spent so much time alone in creation, because the way that I would look at it is, if I can just be alone, then not only will I not hurt anybody, but no one's gonna hurt me, which is a form of not letting myself be loved and not being able to love fully.
Sacred masculinity, I feel like, is mission critical at this point, because there's been such a perversion for now centuries. Checking in, it's the balance. There's the masculine and there's the feminine principles at play at all times.
Being honorable, being a man of your word, saying what you're gonna do and not trying to take from somebody, that's another reason it's so important to be honorable as men, because we need to be a safe space to allow the feminine to feel safe.
Long time coming with this one.
Very long time coming.
Yeah. All right. Welcome to the Ascent Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Drake. I have an incredible, immaculate guest here, a soul that has touched my life in profound ways, multidimensional aspects, and just one of the most pure, heart-centered people. And, you know, you certainly throw people off by your aesthetic and how much just love and unconditional just purity that you pour into people. And it's just so interesting, because there was even a refractory period for me. So, man, Rio Bradshaw, my brother, thank you so much for jumping on. Really excited to dig in.
You are so welcome, my friend. Thank you so much for the kind words. And I've told you many times before, but you are literally just one of the biggest changes I've ever had in my life. And I appreciate you being here, all the co-creation we've had. So it's my honor to be here right now.
Thank you, brother.
Of course.
Yeah. So, oh my goodness. I mean, there's so many directions that we could go. What's coming up the most for me is that in less than 100 days of us actually being committed in the gym together, right? 4 days a week, basically every week, with only exceptions around like being drastically sick or out of town. But even then, moving things around and staying consistent. Fitness has been a huge component in your life, right? And this has now been one of the most large transformations that I've experienced, period. Like, this is the physical temple. How could we not take care of it? So first off, thank you for being such a catalyst here. And what does fitness mean to you? What does internal health mean to you?
Yeah, well, I want to first say, like, when I said, hey, man, you want to work out with me? You immediately were like, let's do it. There was no resistance towards that. So thank you for, just being a warrior brother with me and being in the gym with me, because it's nice to work out by myself, but to have you there has been absolutely amazing, and it actually lights the fire in me much more than when it's just me. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And so what it means to me is just like you said, our physical temple is so important. So to not have the physical temple trained and to be in health actually causes so much dis-ease in your body. And for me personally, when I'm not working out, I can feel it. Everything that I do is just a little bit harder. Everything that I do just feels a little bit off of alignment if I'm not working out. When as opposed to when I am working out, everything is better. I have more life in my body. I have more life in my spirit and my soul. And I just feel more aligned with everything I'm doing. So I started to train back at a young age. And I thank my brother so much for that. He helped me so much with working out. And so from a young age, I saw him working out, and I never really got into a very, very, like a cadence with it that was normal. But now coming into this last couple months with you, I was already working out for about a month or two before that. Being able to keep myself accountable with another person there and being able to work out, it's been huge, man. So fitness is one of the biggest positives in my life right now, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rio-nitis.
Just some context. We watched 300 and we just keep, I call him Tyler-nitis because Leonidas from 300 and he calls me Rio-nitis. And we've just been warriors ever since, and it's just been great, man.
Yeah, bro, it's been tremendous. So you brought up a couple things that are really important to me. And that was one is that you had the courage to actually go and do it by yourself, right? But then what happens by actually bringing in community, right? And getting that commitment with each other creates so much more strength and resiliency, right? It's no longer like, oh, I'm just feeling tired this morning, I'm not going to get up. It's like, man, I made a commitment. What does my word actually mean?
Exactly. That's been really important for us too, is because going to the gym and working out, we were talking about this earlier, it is literally a version of choosing your own suffering. It's painful to get in the gym and to hit new personal records, to just work out in general, especially if you're working out in the intensity that we're working at it. So to be able to do that and to be consistent with it, it's very hard on your own, but you'll be like, hey, we're going to the gym today. I'll be like, all right, let's go. I'll be like, hey, we're going to the gym today. You'll be like, all right, let's go. So to have another brother next to me to be able to keep me accountable has been such a massive difference in my life. So, bro, I really, really appreciate that, man, so much. And man, I gotta say, the progress you've been making has been wild. I mean, you've literally doubled your strength in a little over 2 months. So that is a massive change to double one's strength, and be able to see that's beautiful. So good job to you, my friend.
Yeah, and I mean, for perspective, we actually both broke personal records today. Yeah. On triceps and biceps, and it's just wild because I remember picking up the 40s and it was like not even close for just doing like standard curls, and I went down to 30s, right? And then I did those and it's like, wait a second, no, I can do 40s. And then all of a sudden was able to rep like I think 4.
Yeah.
Got 4 like really solid, not even fast, nice and slow, methodical reps where it's like, that's a 33% gain right there. That's a huge difference in weight. And it was belief. It was like triggering the muscles and belief. And so you showing up actually with those weights, it's like, I can do this too.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
You're so welcome, man. You're so welcome. And to double, like I said, to double your strength that is no easy thing to do. So one of the biggest things that you've helped me with personally in the gym is seeing your perseverance and seeing that, like, when I pick up a certain amount of weight, you just try it. You're like, you know what, see if I can do this. And so your mind is so powerful. You're able to do that. You're able to just pick weights up and just rep the weights, man. And you have really good form with it too, man. So again, good job on all of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Shout out to Elston. Shout out to Josh. Past, my boys, also trainers. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, bro. Wow. So let's talk about nutrition then. How has nutrition come back into the fold? I mean, what I was eating, I thought was good food, right? When we started doing this, and you're like, bro, look at this stuff, like the ingredients and the energy of the food, right? And the amount of plastic that things are wrapped in, and all the, gnarly stuff that gets leached and almost deceptively put into our bodies through these marketing mechanisms. It's been wild. So many of these little addictive patterns with nutrition, and you've just helped me to like laser in. We're going to eat meat that's incredibly clean, right? Where they're actually taken care of, like with 2S Ranch, for example, in the Provision House. And yeah, I mean, what do you have to say around that subject?
Yeah, well, that is literally just as, or maybe even more important than the fitness itself, because that's the fuel that we're putting into our vessels. So I'd say about 10 years ago, it's been a while since I've been looking into nutrition. There's been definitely levels to the game. I hadn't all just get rid of everything at once. But once you start to see behind the veil and start to see the stuff they're putting in our food nowadays, it is actually evil. It's ridiculous. A lot of the ingredients that go in our food are illegal in other countries. So when I started to actually look into that, illegal, because they know that it's killing people. So, we can get really deep into conspiracy theories, but just to keep it really, really general right now, I just started to see the energy that was put into food. And when I realized there was an energy to it, I started to look at what I was eating. Everything was packaged. Everything had plastic around it. Everything was processed. Nothing was organic. And so once I started to learn what these different things actually meant, I was like, let me start trying it. And so once I started to try to change my diet, one very specific thing happened, and this happens to a lot of people that go into health, is I had my health take what was a perceived dip, and that dip was the toxins that were being leached out of my system. And so I almost quit. But once I started looking up the different types of things I was feeling, I started to see that all these things I was feeling were just toxins that were all in my body. And then being able to have fruit and being able to have higher quality meat actually started to make me feel better within about a month. I literally started to, I felt like my head was above water. So that's how my nutrition journey started. And coupling that with working out has been absolutely massive. And it's taken care of so many health problems I have. It's always a journey to be able to get healthier and to remedy these health problems. But as far as what I felt like when I first started as opposed to now, just so much more brightness in my life, so much more life in my body and my soul. So nutrition is just as or more important, in my opinion, than the actual working out itself.
Man, I love how you just framed that. So brightness of your soul through your vessel, right? You've shown me how intuitive of a person that you are, right? The way that you can actually tap in and just have intuitive understanding of what's going on, right? You'll pick up food and just like, nope, right? Like the muscle testing, kinesiology, right? There's actual math behind this. There's left brain stuff that, our Western minds can actually grab a hold of. And how is it that you've come to trust yourself so well in these different scenarios and be able to offer your spirit of service for so many others?
Thank you, man. Thank you for asking that. My intuition it's been such a work in progress, and to be able to even accept it, one of the things I always live by, I have this tattoo on my hand that says words are magic. It's right here. And it reminds me of how powerful our words can be. And so everything in our lives, our words, energy, it's all different forms of magic that we have different abilities. I basically like to look at us all as like superheroes, and we all have different powers. Each superhero has a different type of power and a different weakness to that power. And so the first law that I started to realize about the magic of that ability was the fact that we have to actually believe it first. So I was getting sent intuitions and dreams as a young child. I would have dreams and things would kind of just happen. They would look a little different than my dream would look, but I kind of just dismissed them as, oh, that's a dream. Yeah, oh, that happened. But I didn't think it was any kind of actual ability. I just thought it was just kind of a random coincidence. And so the first step to my intuition actually growing was me saying, I have intuition. And this is intuition, and it's actually an ability. Once I accepted that, I started to get higher layers of that magical ability that would start to manifest through my body, and more of these knowings would come through. And so in the last year, it's been exponential growth, because not only have I started to not only do I believe it and accept it more and more into my body, but now I'm asking for more and more of it. And so I've connected more into my guides now, asking and thanking them, saying, thank you for sending me these knowings and this intuition. Please help me bring this through. And then adding an extra layer to that was help me bring this through to also help others. So now I don't just bring it through just because, to steer my own life. I bring it through when things need to be said to certain people to help them grow as well. And that was hard for me, because at first I was like, man, saying these things, I don't know how people are going to feel about it. I don't know if they're going to think it's true, or I'm just kind of just saying these things, because, you can be skeptical when people are channeling things sometimes. You're like, is this really a channel, or are you just telling me things that are just coming through your mind? So that's been one of the, like, I wouldn't say final layers, because I'm sure there's many more layers to it, but I would say that's a much higher layer that I've hit, is to realize that it's okay to channel these things through, especially with people that can receive it, because some people can't receive it, and then I just don't really want to bring it through, and that's okay. But especially with you being able to channel and you opening that space for me to channel through has been absolutely beautiful, because you opened up a space for me to let that gift come through in its intensity.
Yeah. the visual is so clear. Channel. And it's like the analog TVs, we were clicking through, we're dialing through channels, AM, FM radio at the analog, we're scrolling through and it's static, 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 and then zzz, drops into the frequency and boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, right? And it sounds good. It's high fidelity. And so it's not even like an abstract concept. It's so clear that we're tapping into all of these different frequencies that exist simultaneously. And it's just, where am I at? Where's my tuner dialed in? And so if I'm in a heart position that's wide open and I actually want to help the person that I'm in front of, then I'm tuning into their frequency, right? And then that's opening up the channel, clearing the static out so that the music can actually sing through. And it's through that act of service that the whole loop, the electricity is able to flow, right? Because electrical current doesn't go from here to there and then stop. It has to have a full loop. And so we just become more and more the conduit. And bro, you've been such a shining example of this for me, and leaning into trusting what is showing up. I mean, right here's a great example. Activated flow state. That's all it is, right? What does it feel like to be in flow? Mindless. Outside of this little mind, tapped in, all the tingles in the body, it feels soul alive. So
it does feel soul alive. And what I love about you, so I love everything that you just said right there. And one of the things that comes through for me right now too is that just being in this moment with you right now, is actually really powerful, because I'm getting a lot of like knowings coming in. I'm getting a lot of feelings coming in. And one of them is just how powerful of a person you are. And I've told you many times, and I'll tell you now, it's like, for me to sit here and to do this with you right now, it's not only so special, but to see the amount of presence in your eyes when you talk to one of your guests. I mean, we co-create podcasts together. You do the podcast, I help you do intros and all these things. So I've watched a lot of your podcasts, and I've watched them all the way through and seen what you do for the people that you interview with. And it's happening with me right now. To be able to have a platform, to be able to share myself is so powerful. You're so welcome. And so thank you for being that light, and thank you for bringing this energy through, because, I'm so aligned with your mission. So I appreciate that. And there's a lot coming through right now, and we'll talk about more, but the main thing is just how powerful a person you are and what you do for the people that you're in front of, not only on the podcast, but just in everyday life.
Dude, thank you, brother. You already know it's 100% reciprocal.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, and so with that stated, I mean, Rio is being completely understated right now. Focus Fire Media, that's his own design right there, and us teaming up together. And so we're co-creating and cultivating a whole lot of magic. And it's been cool because you have your own podcast, right? But that wasn't like where your energy and focus is. Yours is on video production, not just like video production, but actually translating and transcribing the soul and the mission of that soul. Since 6, 7 years old, you've been actually making videos and special effects with your brothers and with your friends. And so now you're here at, 31?
31, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's 25 years that you've been pouring into these creative passions and pursuits and projects. And so as, listener, watcher, as you're seeing these different intros and the way that things are actually being cultivated, the story that's being woven, the tapestry that's being woven, that is unique ability, brother. And you come through so soul clearly. And so us teaming up in this way has just been incredible, right? You're focused on music. You're focused on helping people to produce their own tracks. You just dropped a track today.
I did, yes.
You want to tell us about that track today?
I would absolutely love to, man. And the track is called Soul Power. Did it with my dear, dear soul sister, Sunai. And it's her first track, period. And
first track, period.
Period.
Boom.
Yes. And it was a powerful experience because we just sat there and we basically made most of the song within 1 3 to 4 hour session. We already had the beat. And so going back to what you were talking about, I've been making videos since I was like 6 years old, since I could even hold a camera. I was filming videos. And so coming into this present day now, I'm realizing so much, and it's been really nice to just co-create this podcast with you, because even though I love podcasting, what I've really realized about art, especially when it comes through me, is that I am very so much interested in telling stories in the form of skits, in the form of music, in the form of videos. We're actually about to film the first episode of a mini series that I'm creating called Intergalactic Emissaries. And the first episode is going to be with my dear friend Tyler, none other than the Drake right here.
Hey.
And the concept of it is that we're all basically superheroes, like I was talking about before. And each person in this miniseries is going to have a special ability and a special power that they come through. His is going to be divine language, because your language, man, again, like, I love that we're having this podcast, because everything I'm telling you now, I've told you so many times, because I love to reinforce this in you as you do with me. But your language is so powerful to be able to unlock people. Like, the words that you say come across so magical, and they really unlock things in people. So his ability in the series is going to be divine language. As he speaks through his divine language, lots of different things will happen. And I do special effects, since that's what I started with as a child. So I'm going to have different effects in here. I'm going to have fire as well. Fire. I'm a fire sign, and fire has always been really close to my heart. So I'm going to have to be able to control fire. And so that being said, coming from all the way when I was a little kid, 6 years old, to now, really honing in on the skills and on the talent and what I actually really like to make, it's been a beautiful journey. And there's lots that's going to come through it. Just not only this song today, but we're filming a music video, me and Sinai, on the 20th. And yes, there's lots to come.
Yes. How does it feel to be more and more unlocked of your soul's true essence?
Man, I was going to say it's an indescribable feeling, but I feel like I can describe it a little bit. So let's do that. So I would say, to be able to fully, to really get to this level of unlocking my soul and spirit, it feels like I'm flying. It feels like I'm flying, and not just like flying like a bird. It feels like I'm flying through different realms, through the ether. I can feel my soul as almost like a vehicle that is able to now travel past my body. Because a lot of times, even as a kid, I was able to go up into the ethers, but again, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know where I was really going. And so being able to create in this lifetime, in this time right now, it feels like I'm flying. It feels like I'm doing things in different realms and able to pull these different codes and this different knowledge from different places, from different galaxies and different species and entities, to be able to bring it into this life here. And that's part of the reason that the series itself has the message it does, because it's going to be fun to do special effects. I'm going to even have some like battles in there and fights. There's going to be villains, but at a core to the series, it's going to be a co-creation of what is actually coming through in our lives. That's why the superpowers I'm putting on that everyone's going to have is going to be actually part of their soul in this incarnation. So to answer your question, it feels absolutely like bliss to be able to bring that through.
Feels like absolute bliss. Yes, that soul essence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bro, it's incredible. It's to me, it feels like a limitless well of energy, right? Momentum. And that's the way that you describe flying and being able to transport your soul and your consciousness and interact with all these different beings and entities. And this is part of why I believe that you're very linear as well, right? So I'm much more tangential as a person and personality, and you're much more linear. And so us teaming up in different ways, right? With the working out, with our nutrition, it's even with nutrition, it's like one step at a time. You know, now we do smoothies first, right? And then our big hearty meal that's fortifying and giving the body all these different things. It's like the micronutrients, satiation, and really like expanding that lightness throughout the day. And then boom, bringing the heaviness so we can actually grow and build this physical vessel. And so it's so interesting as you talk about tapping in more and more with your soul and with your spirit. I mean, I just see the way that you hold presence with people. I mean, you're giving me all these compliments and they're just coming right back. Like the way you hold presence is profound, and the shifts and the style of witnessing that I've been able to experience and also just see in how you interact with people. I mean, it flips, like people's hearts go wide open. I've seen people come at you aggressively and be very upset and sacred neutral, and you're not even thrown off your center. And within just a few minutes, it's like there's a calm, there's a peace, there's an understanding, there's a twinkle in the eye. There's like, oh, Okay. So really, I mean, just kudos, Doug. Thank you for
Thank you,
being
bro.
you and, keeping it elevate and doing what you do. It's super interesting. And it's also amazing that you have the ability not just to see and feel these things and to unlock those in others, but you actually do this through your divine digital dharma.
Nice. I love that. Thank you, man. Thank you. It's really a blessing and a pleasure in my heart to be able to co-create with people. And that is something that you very much so unlocked in me. I've been very, very, let's put it this way. I've gone to a lot of different places and just been alone and created a lot. I've been in different community and I've met a lot of beautiful people in my life. But one of the things I love about the way that we work, when he's talking about me working linear and you being more tangent, how do you say it, tangential?
Yeah, tangential.
Tangential, yeah, of being able to work with lots of different things at once. It's been beautiful because you always include me into all of the calls, into all the FaceTimes you have and the people. And I'm used to being so singular and not really like going too much into that. But now it's opened up so much to where all of this co-creation, all of these things that I'm doing, it's like, no, open that up to the community, open it up to everyone else. It's not just about you creating. It's about, like you said in your other podcast, it's about our vision, not my vision. So I very much appreciate you bringing that into the creative space for me, because now I'm like, oh, let's all create together. I mean, we're doing our episode on Friday. I'm doing a music video on the 20th. I'm doing another music video with Mercy. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing, man, to be able to do that. So again, I mean, I thank you for that as well.
Yeah, I feel like we can only go so far by ourselves.
Yeah.
It's necessary in the journey to go inward and to know thyself really deeply. But the accelerated path is through relationship. It's through that reflection and that honesty and that joy and expansion that can come from it, and the deep sorrow that can come from it, right? When paths are going opposite ways, right? When a relationship takes a turn and it's like there's no more coherence and cohesion. I mean, I love my daughter so freaking much, and I know there will be a day that her mother and I have full synergy and unity, right? And it's truly about her. And I just really hold that space in my heart.
I want to say, man, I got to say something right now. And dude, you are such a good father. The way that you talk about Tula, man, I've never heard any father talk about his daughter in that way. You love her so much. And I got the pleasure of meeting her one time. She's such a beautiful person, such a beautiful soul. And I really appreciate that moment because I saw the connection you have with your daughter. I always see it. So just from my humble perspective, you're one of the best fathers in existence to me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I feel fully that so many things will, work themselves out in the best way, and you're doing everything you can right now, so I just want you to know, man, you're an amazing father, and I can't wait for you and Tula's relationship to continue to grow.
Yeah, I mean, she's 3.5 years old. She's so little right now, and yet she's so bright, and she's so inquisitive, and has such deep presence, and is curious with people. And also I feel like she's just super tapped in.
Yeah.
Like she just intuitively understands stuff. And so, yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that, man. It's a dance when the relationship dynamics are not in coherence. It's to what degree do I share or emphasize my perspective, right? The small I's perspective. And to what degree is it just letting go and allowing? And it's very easy because the energy behind both of those is what dictates what it is. If I'm letting go from a position of apathy and regret and sorrow, is very different than when I'm in my strong, centered in my heart and in my spirit. And it's like, I'm comfortable with whatever it is that transpires. I might not like it. It's not my preference, but that deep acceptance, it's a must.
It is a must, man. And those type of relationships too, we've talked about before, whenever we have these interpersonal relationships that can be extremely hard and they can really hurt us, from that hurt, from what has perceived, can be a perceived destruction or a perceived pain, is some of the biggest blessings we can ever have. And that's so hard to see in the moment sometimes, you know, and we've had so many moments personally that we've had with that, where it's been like, wow, this is really painful to go through. This is really hard to go through. I really wish that me and this person were just on good terms. But in that same very moment, that is exactly what's needed, because we've talked about this path too, and how we both feel that the soul has a path that is pretty much linear. It's almost like a video game. The video game is going to be finished, but the character you play and the way that you play it is the perceived free will that we have.
Right.
So being able to see these situations as, oh my goodness, this is extremely painful, but how am I going to react to this, is how we're playing this game and how we're going to finish this game. And I know both of us very well at this point, and I know that the way that we're playing the game is been extremely beautiful, and I applaud both of us for that, because we are leading with our heart, we're leading with intention, and we are always having the best interest of other at heart when we do things.
Aho.
Aho.
Yeah, brother. Wow. What is the concept of sacred relationship, sacred union? What does that look like, feel like to you?
Well, that's a great question. It's a great segue into this, because I really, really, really want to start with you and your sacred relationship, because I've seen it and it's been beautiful, and I still continue to see it. You and your partner, absolutely amazing people. And so to be able to witness that, I've seen sacred relationships in different forms and different facets, but I'd like to start with yours. And it's just beautiful. I think that sacred relationship is really taking all the love in your heart and not only sharing that with somebody else, but letting them see every part of you and having not only the best interest for them, but to share everything with them, not just love, and to be like, here's every part of me. How do we do this together? And how do we love each other to the highest degree? And when you have that intention in your heart for a sacred relationship, whether it be romantic or whether it be two friends, you are always going to derive the best experience from that. I mean, and just with you and me being friends, it's like our relationship has been amazing because of that. We've constantly poured into each other. I haven't hid anything from you. You haven't hid anything from me. We tell each other everything, and we do everything we possibly can to help each other. So to me, that is a sacred relationship, is doing everything you possibly can on a soul level, on a physical level, on a mental level, on a health level, every one of the levels you possibly can to support someone's growth. And the way that I heard love explained one time in this podcast was actually perfect. They said, what does love even mean? And so what the person was saying is that love is the act of wanting to support someone's life or something's life, to continue to help it grow and live. That's love. And so if you really love something, you want it to exist. Not only you want it to exist, but you want it to thrive. So taking that and putting that into somebody else and being like, not only do I want you to continue to live as long as possible, but I want you to thrive in this life, then that's when all these other aspects come in. Let's help with nutrition. Let's help with intention. Okay, what do you need help with? Cool, you can use this. Cool, I have this. Use that. So that's what, to me, a sacred relationship means.
Wow. Thank you again, brother. Thank you. Yeah, and to reflect that back, I mean, what's it been like with your internal landscape of experiencing, right, those moments of not loving thyself, right? Because at this point, you do exhibit such purity of the way that you love yourself in your own sacred relationship internally, right? And now it's flowering and blossoming in different ways. And feel free and speak to whatever degree that you'd like.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what had to happen for me to even to be able to open up in the first place. I had to figure out how to love myself, because in one of my songs, the song is called Scared to Love, and it talks about how terrifying it is to love somebody else, because when you love somebody else, you're opening yourself up. You're not only opening yourself up to all the love, but you're opening yourself up to potentially be hurt.
Bingo. So
that, being able to do that and to be able to do that with intention and not just work out of fear, but work out of, hey, because life in general, anything could happen. Life in general has question marks all around it. There's things that you're sure of, but there's also things that we might not be here tomorrow, you know? So we have to
Right.
live this life in a way that's not fearful. So when it comes to relationships, I am blessed right now to have some very special in my life. And she's amazing. And I have opened up my soul to her because I'm ready for it finally, you know? And so much of my life, I just felt like I wasn't ready. So I'd run away from different experiences of love, which is why I also spent so much time alone in creation, because the way that I would look at it is, if I can just be alone, then not only will I not hurt anybody, but no one's going to hurt me, which is a form of not letting myself be loved and not being able to love fully. So as I went through this process, I realized that not only do I need people, which you've helped massively with, but I also realized that I need self-love practices. Like, what am I doing to actually fill my soul up? What am I actually doing to actually be able to be open for a sacred relationship, whether that be romantic or friends? And so that being said, I had to find different ways to do that. And some of that was, you know, routines, getting up in the morning, getting in the sun, working out, eating healthy. These are all forms of self-love that then translate directly into those sacred relationships.
As you were just describing, you know, even eating healthy, that has so many connotations, but it's really choosing our own suffering, right? We talk about this in the gym a lot. We're going in there and intentionally choosing our suffering. And to me, it's actually a form of suffering when I don't have that chocolate at the end of the night, right? And I want that dark chocolate, you know, Trader Joe's 85% cacao, like, it's so good, so good. And yet when I refrain from it, not from a place of like guilt or shame, but when I actually am just like,
Yeah.
I'm choosing this, right? It's such a different life vantage.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen that personally too. Like, I've seen the difference between, like, your shifts have been massive. Like, now we go to Costco and it's like, we might want these things, but the way that our basket looks when we fill it up health-wise is so different.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, right? So that being said, it's like, even like, you know, of like eating healthy and healthy food is a form of self-love. So back to the sacred relationships, man, it's like seeing your sacred relationship, seeing how you treat her, seeing how y'all's love is so open and so just sharing. And no matter what time of the day she comes through with a call, you answer it with a smile. You want to be there with her. That's been so beautiful. And I've been able to talk so much to you about these different things that I'm going through when it comes to the love that is forming right now. So I appreciate that. I'm thanking you so much this podcast. I'm going to thank you off the podcast. I'm going to thank you in the ethers, in the dream world. And this is great.
Yeah, bro. So, I mean, this is a great example, right, of what like sacred relationship is to me, right? There's natural reciprocity. It's not like there's a leader and a follower, some sort of hierarchical thing. We have these unique soul blueprints, right? We have these unique talents. We have these unique ways that we apply ourselves and get and give energy. And so there's this natural reciprocity that shows up. And it's so good. It's so good. And one of the ways that you've done and exhibited that is that you put a laser focus on the other person with zero self-interest. And it can be uncomfortable at times, right? Like, you were just committed to helping me with the podcast. You saw all of these podcasts just sitting here and they're like, 6 months have gone by, still dusty. All right. And you're just like, I'm going to do it. Right. And that's when, for me, it was obvious. Oh, then this is why I need to pay you. Because you weren't wanting anything. It's like you're living your dharma. This is literally the evidence. So then by me actually clicking that gear and realizing, okay, he'll do this for free just because he loves me, just because he cares, period. And so then guess what? Sacred reciprocity. Now we're actually building a business together, right? And we're co-creating, and it's dynamic, and it's just like, this is just one podcast. Then there's the mini series, right? Intergalactic Emissaries. There's the music videos and all the content creation. There's the travel. And I mean, there's just so many different aspects and elements of just what we're co-creating, let alone all the other people that you get to spark and, you know, really cultivate, right? That flame, that's his design right here, by the way. You see that?
If you can't see it, I'll show the camera. So I have an elemental line of clothing, and this is the fire shirt. So This is this one. I got 3 more. I have other ones, designs pending right now, but I have 4 shirts. So this is one of them. We've chosen to use this as the logo for Focused Fire Media. So this is the logo that we're using for that currently.
The logo, the logos. Wow. So on this theme of sacred relationship, what does the word honor mean to you?
Oh man, that's a great question. I'm really glad you bring that up because that's one of the biggest things that we have been sharing together that has been massive. So for me, a lot of things always go back into, and I feel fully that it's because of past lives and just the way that my soul has come through in these different incarnations is I very much so resonate with warrior mindsets. So for me, honor is would I go to battle with the person next to me? Would I lie or steal? Would I do any of these things? In general, no. But especially with this person next to me, I want in every essence of my being to that person to know that if it came down to it, I would die for them. For me, that's what honor means. So yes, in a sense of a non-romantic relationship, honorable is being always to support my brother in anything that is. Support him in his relationship. Support him in anything he's doing. It's a sacred relationship. So honor goes hand in hand to me for a sacred relationship. And not only just in relationships, but living an honorable life, not lying, not stealing, not doing these things that are underhanded, always wishing the best for people. So when it comes down to honor for me, it's like we all have this internal compass, right? We all know when we're doing something that's wrong or it's off. So really actually following that compass. And even in small moments, so I love to cook, right? We always make these meals. And so whenever I make a meal, the meal that I always give you is always the one with more in it. So to me, that's an honorable thing to do because it's like you're welcome. I could always take more. I could always take the better piece. There's a real nice looking sweet potato right there and it looks real good, right?
Yeah.
I could always take that if I wanted to, but I throw that on your plate. So to me, that's honorable because no one's seeing that. It's the things that people don't see that we make in essence for love for others. I feel like that can be some of the most honorable things. I'm never going to mention that. I mean, on the podcast, because we're talking about honor, I will, but I'm going to continue to do that. And I know you do the same thing. You always give me the last of the smoothie. You give me a little extra. So that to me, man, is what honor means.
Yeah, on that note, Jason and Megan in some of the ceremony environments, they'll make the most esoteric, gorgeous food experiences that I've ever been a part of. And the practice is that after we bless everyone, everything, the infinite creator, right? We find the most delicious morsel possible. Not the secondary one, not the thirdendary one. The firstendary.
Firstendary, baby.
Yes, and you take it and you gift it to nature.
Yeah.
And it's so hard when I see that mango and it's got the salt on it and it's just like, oh my goodness. But yet it's like, we're going to do that. And so that feels like honoring, it's paying homage, paying tribute towards, right? Yeah. That lineage that's forward and back and how we are all one thing ultimately, right? And different vantage points, different experiencers of this one thing. So the more that I'm able to give, the more that I actually feel that heart opening up, and the heart is separate from time. The heart exists through energy, right? And spectrum and wavelength. And so the more that heart opens up, the more it's that sacred reciprocity, right? So me actually giving you more smoothie or whatever, right, is actually me being selfish. How ironic is that? So it's the selfless selfishness that we take part in that allows all of us to just grow.
It's a good point. And it's a great point. And I'm so blessed to have people around me like that now. Like even just you and your partner, like she's the same way when she was cutting up fruit and stuff like that. She just puts it right on the table. You can see that she's just giving us the best parts of it. And same thing with you. I know how, when you're an honorable person and you're actually following that moral compass and you're actually making the decisions that you know are honorable, the honor just increases. And not only that, but people notice that too. Even if they're not seeing it firsthand visually, they're picking up on it. They know they can trust you. I know I can trust you. You know you can trust me. So that is because we've been choosing honor over deceit, over these lies, over anything else. And so it feels really good to be honorable. And to take it to another level too is just, there's lots and lots of men out here that hurt women nowadays. And I feel like that's a really important thing to bring up. And I trust you. Like with my partner, if I was never there, I would trust that you would protect her with your life. And that's the same thing I would do for your partner. And so I feel like as men, we have to be honorable. If we're not honorable, no one can trust us. Not only that, but there's such a deep wound within the feminine. You know, there's wounds within the masculine as well. But as far as being honorable, being a man of your word, saying what you're going to do and not trying to take from somebody, that's another reason it's so important to be honorable as men, because we need to be a safe space to allow the feminine to feel safe.
Yes. 1000%, brother. And I like to think about masculinity like this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? Femininity. Mm-hmm. And so the more that I can actually be rooted and grounded, right, all the way in my entire being, connected all the way here in presence on this planet and feeling all the way through my heart and then up to God, source, the divine, infinite creator, etc., and be one, be in integrity, right? An integrated one unit allows all that feminine energy to flow, because masculine and feminine is not man and woman. We have all this energy that exists inside of us. We have the boom and we have the right? And so sacred masculinity, I feel like, it's mission critical at this point, because there's been such a perversion for now centuries.
Yes.
Right? It's happened for thousands of years. That's millennia. Yeah. And so societies where the ones that actually are cultivating and creating life, literally, we all exist because women, period. Thank you. Every woman
Thank you so much. Wouldn't be here without you.
Wouldn't be here without you. Thank you. Shout out to my mom. Right?
Facts. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's so ironic, because when I look at different cultures and cultural orientations that I believe work, right, paradigms that I've seen personally and also just intuitively feel, it's that there's that divine honor. Like Leonidas, he doesn't just kick the messenger into the hole. He looks over at his queen. And his queen is going to have more balance, have more compassion, because of the way that she's naturally wired, right? There's that larger bandwidth between the hemispheres of the brain, just as an example. And so many of those intuitive hits and downloads. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And it's like that code of honor, right? Checking in. It's the balance. There's the masculine and there's the feminine principles at play at all times. So thank you for bringing this forward. And I mean, how else would you like to illuminate the subject, or how you've actually shifted inside with how you show up on the outside?
Yeah, great question. So for me personally, my path with being able to actually be a safe man around women was one that was actually pretty difficult, because being raised as a young child, both men and women, but I feel like especially men, the way that we are fed pornography, the way that we are fed all of these images growing up, we really just feel like we just have to chase women, and it's all about sex, and all about sex. Everything is about sex nowadays. And so we grow up with that conditioning of almost, in essence, wanting to take this from them. Oh, like, well, I'm going to chase you, and we're going to have sex. But when you really start to actually dig into masculine and feminine energy and what that actually means to you, and intent, and just being intentional in general, I started to realize, wait, what is my intention here with this woman? Like, I'm talking to her. If I'm attracted to her, yes, that's fine to be attracted to somebody, but what is my intention here? My intention had to shift to, I want to get to know you as a person. And I really, really, even though I might be attracted to you, who are you? Like, let's talk. Let's talk about what you love. Let's talk about who you are. Let's talk about the things that make you happy. And to not have any kind of ulterior motives as to get anything, to not need anything from them besides to send them love. And so on my own personal journey, that's what I found to be really important with anything in general is what is your intention going into it. And so if I'm around a woman, I am in my mind and in my body, I want them to feel safe around me. I want them to feel protected. I want them to feel like there's an actual warrior here that not only would protect them with their life, but wants to protect them with their life. That doesn't need anything from them, but besides wanting them to be safe. So for my own personal journey, that's been one of the biggest things. And as I've become more of a safe man and actually started to realize and clean up my thoughts and become more pure in the way that I see women just as women, then I've become more protective over women and to see men that are taking advantage of them. All of the confusion that's been caused by somebody that's been fallen in love with only to get taken advantage of and to be cheated on, because a lot of men are so lost in that, and it's always a work in progress for every man to become more honorable and to become a safer space for women. For me personally, it's one of the most important things of my existence to actually be a safe man. And being a man, I mean, you and me both know it's like we have a lot of hormones going on. That's part of being a man that can be difficult, because you see a woman that you're attracted to and you just want her, and you just want her. But to be able to drop into that and just breathe and to be like, even though I might be feeling all these things, let me get to know you and let me just talk to you. And then when you drop into that and you just breathe, you see them relax. And it's beautiful, because when they're safe, they become so soft and they want to support you in any way they possibly can. And women are so powerful. Men and women are equally powerful in different ways. Yes. It's the yin and yang of each other. And so when you actually can drop into that masculine space and not only protect them physically, but spiritually as well, and be safe for them, then they use all of their abilities, which are massive abilities of intuition, the safe space they can hold for you. When you are going through an intense emotion, anger, even it could be hate sometimes, whatever you're going through that's extremely intense, and a woman just sits there with you, puts her hand on you and says, it's okay, with that soft voice, a warrior can just calm down and be like, wait, what was I even thinking? Like, I really wanted to actually go and beat this person up. I wanted to go and kill this person. Whatever the intense thought might have been at that moment, a woman can calm you down. So with all that being said, I love women with all of my heart, and I want to do everything I can to protect them. And so I'm constantly doing everything I can to adjust my thoughts and adjust my intentions with them.
Yeah. Shining example of it, brother.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah. So again, choosing our suffering.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of what is that chocolate in the form of, here's this person that I find this attraction towards. How can I get some of that, to shifting that to, okay, no, it's cool. I'm actually not going to have any chocolate tonight. And guess what? Now the honor in the body, all the energetic alignment is beginning to show up. The heart's even more open. The safety is a natural byproduct of being an integrated whole, right? We want to be holy. How about being whole?
Hey, I love that.
That's right. We are being whole beings. We're in the entirety. So if masculinity would be that center point of a sphere, then everything that exists within the sphere could be the feminine principle at play. And so the play that we're orchestrating every day through our curiosity, we come out here and we play, spreading those wings, baby. That's what we do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible, man. It's absolutely incredible. What's coming up for you right now? What do you feel like? I mean, one thing that's coming up actually for me that if you're open to talking about is another form of choosing suffering. I love this theme.
Yeah, right.
This is so potent and powerful, is semen retention.
Oh, dude, I'm glad you bring that up. I was actually about to bring that up before, but that ended on the right note, but I'm so glad you did. Yeah, what's your question?
I mean, bro, this is a limitless portal right here.
Let's get into it.
Absolutely life-changing in so many ways. It's just that fundamental shift of taking and getting, and there's this outcome right here that needs to be achieved to,
yeah,
it's the income.
Yeah, man, I love that. Dude, I love this subject too because I feel like there's so many times where I've talked about this and then the reaction is like, you do what? You that sounds so weird. That sounds so crazy. So I heard about semen retention a long time ago. Tried it on and off, did not have any good success in the beginning. It was so hard for me not to do that because I grew up from a young age discovering pornography and watched that from since I was like 6 years old all the way through my adulthood. So I was used to that release. I was used to that and realizing really when it came down to it, I was watching pornography to feel comfortable and to feel safe because it was the one moment in time.
And connection when you're alone.
Exactly. Good point. Yeah, it was connection, which I was desperately wanting. And so it's been taking practice. It's still a work in progress, but I'm close to, I feel like, a month right now on it. And what it has really done for me in my life has been massive. Not only is it so, I'm reading this book right now that's all about it's a Montauk Chia book. It's all about cultivating sexual energy. And so as I've been reading that book, it talks about how our life force, our semen is actually the nectar of life, especially for men. And that when men release it, it is actually releasing so much iron, so many different vitamins and minerals, like at an extremely dense rate in there. So there's so much of it within semen that it's literally your life force. And so as you spill your life force over and over and over again, there's an actual finite amount of it in a man's body. So as you do that, you start to lose drive. You start to lose love for your partner. You might love her immensely, but that lust that was there before isn't there anymore because you're losing it, you're spilling it. And so as I started to hold it and retain it, not only was I experiencing more just physical attraction. Like when I would see a woman, it wasn't just about sex. I would see them as just beautiful beings, like almost just like in awe of them. Like, wow, women are so amazing. Like it was wild what was changing in my body when I would retain. And so not only that, but more energy, more focus, feeling like more of a man, just feeling the masculine energy coursing through my veins, my body, the tingles I would get. Everything is just increases with semen retention. And not only that, but when you are, when you're having sex and you're retaining, you can really just focus on the moment. You're not thinking about any kind of outcome. You're not thinking about, oh, there's this release. I feel like so many people nowadays they're getting into these partnerships because they both want to feel comfortable and safe. And so in essence, they're just kind of like using each other's bodies for an outcome. They want this feeling, they want to get this release. And so a lot of times I think relationships can fall apart because there's so much of this energy that's just being spilled. Then they start to wonder, why don't I feel the same way about this person anymore? So that being said, I just know how powerful it's been in my life, and I will continue to do it. And I'll continue to grow in that skill because it's been even right now, I just have this zest for life. I feel so energized, And so, yeah, it's done so much for me. And those are just a few of the massive benefits I've been receiving from it.
Choosing our suffering.
Yeah, man.
This is a potent theme.
It is. And there's, okay, and I got to talk about this too. It is a potent theme. And then when a man is like really close to having that orgasm, right? Having that release, it is ridiculously hard not to do that.
Biologically speaking, we are designed to do that. That's how we all get to be here, like literally.
Right? Exactly. And so that's what's so wild about it. This is life-giving energy. What are you doing with that? Are you just spilling it? I'm not going to tell anybody that it's wrong. I'm just going to say from my perspective and what I've experienced from it, it has been life-changing because it is more than just, oh, I feel energized, oh, I'm able to be present, which are both great things. It's also about being able to make a decision and a choice as a man and be like, I can actually hold back from this right now. And that being able to hold back from that act, especially when you're actually having sex with a woman, is one of the hardest things to ever do. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. But that being said, afterwards, one of the most beautiful parts about it when you actually are having sex with a woman that you deeply love and you retain, you lay there afterwards and you just look at them with all of this energy that's recirculating. And then what the book talks about is that women, when they have their orgasm, when they have their release, they actually gain energy from it. Their body reverberates pleasure and it doesn't when their release happens, they don't lose life force or life essence. It reverberates through their body. So they gain more of it. But men, when they release it, they lose energy. Ever notice? Like I've heard so many times that, right afterwards, and same thing with me, right after a man has his release, falls asleep. And a lot of times the woman, that's when they really need you the most, especially after the act of sex, such a deep thing, to not just fall asleep, but to lay there with them, to hold them, to look at them and to talk to them, to really hear them and how it felt to connect to you. That has been probably the most beautiful part about this whole thing, is to be able to lay there and just look at them and have all of it's not lust is what it is, but it's just this potent sexual energy that you can keep moving with, and like through the course of the night, you can keep engaging in that act over and over and over again with the same amount of potency, with the same amount of strength.
Increased potency.
Great point. With increased potency. And that is massive. Like, to be able to do that with your partner, to do that with your woman over and over again, and then when you finish, not actually release, but when the act is done, to lay there with them and to have more attraction to them afterwards, and not just want to go to sleep, but to be able to just talk to them, it's bliss. It's absolute bliss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aho.
Aho, brother.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness. Yeah, as I look at my own life, when I zoom all the way out and I think about what are the most courageous things that I've done, right? Semen retention is hands down one of the most courageous things, because again, it's hidden. It's behind the scenes. No one knows, the way we were describing honor earlier, right? I love the way that you framed it. It's those acts that are being done of wholeness and integration in all of those now moments without anybody seeing. Now, I mean, the one infinite creator, right? The Akash is really a record and experience of all that is. And so there's different labels, different ways that, each person comes to define this. Like, I believe God is probably the most vastly differently defined concept or term. And so somebody says, do you believe in God? Right? It's like, that's such a loaded question because it's so many different vantage points. But what I've come to learn in my reality is that the more that I saw these as separate paths, the more they're integrating into one reality and just different vantage points of one reality. So as I become more of an honorable person, right, it stacks energetically. And I feel more and more aliveness. I feel more and more generosity, curiosity, interest, right? And so when I can be even more honorable with myself in my temple, in a way, giving the nutrition, right? Actually giving the building blocks that are needed, exercising. I mean, we live in these boxes that are temperature controlled. Like, how unnatural is that? Where's the sun? Our bodies have been, as long as they've been here, choose your timeline, we've been interacting with the sun, right? And as the sun's up, okay, we're up and we're alive and we're doing our thing. And then the sun goes down and we go down. But now we live with artificial lights all around, temperatures that are, controlled. And so no wonder there's so many psychological challenges with people, right? If I'm not actually exerting myself and finding out where those boundaries are and then pushing my limitations, then what is it? If we don't use it, we lose it.
Yeah. You're right. You're so right, man. And it's so cool to be able to have this conversation, because this particular subject too, I bring it up in the beginning, the way that certain people will look at you when you say that, and it's not like I'm telling everybody, but certain times it's come up. It's been a it's come. We had to. You had
layup.
To. Oh yeah. You alley-oop that. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it's like, this is such a taboo topic to so many people. And not only that, but when it comes down to it, a lot of guys just don't want to do it because it's not easy. And we condition ourselves to think that this is just the way that it needs to be. Like, oh, you have sex, you got to release. And to each their own. If that's what you feel like you need to do, then go ahead. But try it. Just try it. You know what I mean? And see what it actually feels like in your body to go a month. it causes so many different things to happen in your body. So to be able to have this conversation, especially with somebody like you, which I trust and we've talked about many times before on this platform, is great. So thank you for opening up that question.
Yeah, and then just to double click on that real quick for somebody that doesn't even believe that's possible or is like, Rio, whatever. Well, Rio can do it, but like, right? Someone that's in that state of maybe apathy or disbelief. I mean, what guidance could you share or offer for them in their journey so that they might be able to progress if they choose?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, for me, it was, I couldn't even go, I tried it day one. I didn't do it. You know what I mean? When I first started trying it was hard. So like anything else, you have to actually be willing to go through the process of those little failures and to realize that it's okay. You don't have to go a month right off the bat. Yeah, aim for that. You know, set yourself a goal, but don't beat yourself up if you can't do it. And just like anything else, it's like with the gym, you know, you miss a day in the gym. You're going to just stop going to the gym. You know, you just you keep at it. And so when it comes to this thing, realize that this isn't just not releasing because, it feels a little good. No, if you stop releasing, you can have a ridiculously connected sex life with your partner. You can have a zest for life that you've never felt before. You can have intention like you've never felt before. You can have a motivation like you've never felt before. This isn't some small thing. This isn't some small thing. Creativity, that's a great point. Creativity is through the roof. There is massive benefits to semen retention. Massive. The way that you look at women changes, you know, because in all the pornography you watch, there's a release, there's this thing. You don't have that anymore. If you don't have that outlook, like that has to happen, your whole awareness opens up and shifts. Just even alone to have the amount of energy and clarity that I have from it is worth it. But to have all these other host of things is amazing. So also realize that. That's one of the main things piece of advice I give somebody that's going into it, that this is not some whatever kind of thing. This is massive life-shifting energy that you're holding inside of your body. So realize the power of it. You know, you have to believe that it does have power. And also give yourself space and grace to keep trying over and over again and just see how you feel. Go, maybe go say, hey, I'm going to do it 2-3 days. Okay, then go a week, then go a month. Just start to do it in that way. That would be my first 2 pieces of advice to somebody.
Yeah, that's super helpful, man. I like the concept, space, pace, and grace.
I like that. Yeah, man.
Wow. This has been a journey, bro. I can't even believe how many different rabbit holes that we could go down. But, you know, for the first episode, how do you feel?
I feel great. I feel like it's so funny too, because before this, you know, we had a few topics we wanted to talk about. We hit all of them. We hit all of our topics.
We did, didn't we?
We did. And we were going to write down like a little outline stuff, but we felt like it was going to flow. You know what I mean? I'm with the freestyler himself right here, which is just, you know, I knew it was going to come off the top and ask the perfect questions. I'm so happy to be here. It's been such an amazing conversation. We have these every day. To be able to do this on this platform has been perfect. And as far as anything that's on my heart that I feel like I need to share, I feel like it's been perfectly covered, my friend.
Beautiful. All right. At Rio Bradshaw 777 on Instagram. What is it? RioBradshaw.com.
I don't have the RioBradshaw.com yet, but Rio Bradshaw 777 on Instagram. And pretty much everything else is going to be Rio Bradshaw 777 as well.
Yeah, beautiful. So, listener, thank you so much. You're one of the rare souls who actually made it the entire way through the podcast, went on this journey of co-creation and curiosity and enlivening with us. So thank you so much for joining. Rio-nitis.
Tyler-nitis.
As we ascend. Much love. Talk soon.